You know what's so fascinating to me? This year alone has been like a crazy great year for horror films. You know, you got Longlegs, you got The Substance, you got Smile 2, which is what we're going to talk about. So many great horror films this year. Um, just utterly fantastic. And yeah, we are talking Smile 2, a sequel of the first Smile movie that I think came around 2022, I think, or 2023. I'm pretty sure it's 2022. Um, Written and directed again by Parker Finn, who has made the first one, and this stars Naomi Scott, which is like the thing is that like I've seen Power Rangers and I've seen Power Rangers and I've also seen Aladdin. But I honestly, if you ask me like, oh, what were like those movies about? Like, what did you think? I have no idea. I don't know if I fell asleep, which doesn't sound like me. I don't usually fall asleep during films, but like I legit have no recollection. I can't speak. Recollection. Okay. Recollection of those films, like at all. So great acting, great directing, all this shiz. Let's get into the non-spoilers of it. Okay. Smile 2, like I said, is a sequel. And it's it essentially like, the first one leaves off on like a very like truly magical end, and then now it is picking up where it literally leaves off, and it's about a pop star now who has gone through a history of addiction, a tragedy, and all sorts of things that have just really made her just lock herself away from society, sort of like in the vein of the first one where the therapist like had a father, no, mom, I think, who is unalived herself. I'm pretty sure. And that's like her way of going through grief, which, was sad, but I would say this story with its characters is way fucking sadder than the first one, like by a huge margin. And the acting is great. The jump scares are fantastic. They have no reason to be this good, and they are just absolute. And that's the thing. It's like the thing that makes me, I mean, like any other horror film or any film really in general, you kind of feel apprehensive when you go into a film like a sequel to another film that was really good. And you're like, okay, well, not everything could be Terminator 2, right? But like it doesn't need to be, just as long as it, abides by the same structural tone and atmosphere and you know shock value, given that it's a horror film. I feel like you could probably make a solid sequel, and they did that, but way more. And I think this film is 100% up anybody's alley if they loved the first Smile film. I think this one is definitely going to take the cake. But even if you are just like a regular horror film, it feels like there are lots of homages to other films that are not similar to Smile, but very similar in terms of atmosphere when it comes to horror. And you'll understand why, and I'm going to get into the spoiler section of it later. But yeah, it is a solid fucking thrill ride. It is a thrill ride, y'all. Like, the first film was, in my opinion, kind of a slow burn. Okay, no, it wasn't like a slow burn, but it took a minute for us to the audience to really wrap our heads around, the idea and the structure of, the entire plot of this, parasite slash creature slash supernatural thing that just lives in people's heads, that just essentially destroys them from the inside out, and passes that along to whoever witnesses like their death, essentially, death by unaliving themselves. And it's the same rules, the same concept as Smile 2, but the stakes are way higher. Things are way darker, way darker. This film is gotten way darker, like very much so. And I don't know how else to explain it for the non-spoiler people who haven't seen this, other than that, if you are familiar with the 2013 Evil Dead reboot, it is exhausting by the time you get to the end. It is a lot, and I watched it again this morning, which is why I'm a little bit late. I had a few things going on, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to watch this again, and I watched it again, and it definitely it definitely holds up the second time around, and I definitely like noticed a couple things that I didn't the first go around, which again we're going to discuss in the spoiler episode. So I think we're just gonna get into it. Anything that I can think of for the non-spoiler section? Not really. Yeah, not really. Other than that, the cast is great. Rosemary DeWitt is fantastic. You'll see a few recognizable faces. Rosemary DeWitt, of course, fantastic actress. She played most recently as Huey's mom in The Boys. Fantastic acting, fantastic writing. The jump scares and like just the editing alone and the pace of these jump scares, and like not really like showing you like the thing about horror too is that what is very underrated are people's reactions to the jump scare in the film, like by the characters' reaction to the jump scares. I feel like is underrated as more so than the actual scares themselves. Like people come up with like really creative ideas when it comes to jump scares, and I love that. I love the creativity of it, but like what is definitely overlooked, in my opinion, is the way that people react to those jump scares from the characters in the film. So when you get a reaction that happens before the jump scare, that is, I mean, it happened. Like the perfect example is the first Smile film, if you ever seen it. At the very beginning, in the first like 5 minutes, when the patient and the therapist are in the room, and the patient is going crazy, have gone through like the 3 or 4 days of this supernatural thing inside their head for the longest time. And the very final moment, she sees like the creature behind the therapist, even though the therapist can't see it and we can't see it as the audience. But sure as shit, the patient sees that, and you see the reaction before the jump scare, even though like the jump scare isn't real, it's not there, until the very end of it, of course, to close that circle. But sorry, I got an itchy on my leggy. It makes it that much more terrifying, in my opinion, at least. Like I know a lot of people really depend on the jump scares of it all, but I think the reaction before the jump scare is powerful, and you see that in Smile 2. Okay, let's stop. We already done 10 minutes of this. We got to move on to the thing, because I gotta get going. So here's a spoiler review of Smile 2, okay? Let's go. So, Smile 2 literally begins right where the first one leaves off. Like, no joke. Like, the cop that was from the previous film who tried to help out the therapist, who I think was, like, her wife. I think, like, the cops' wife. Oh, no. They were a couple, but they weren't together, I think. I've only seen the movie once, and I should have saw it again. But it picks up where that cop story leaves off from the first film, and he tries to pass off the entity, the whatever it is, to the next victim. And unfortunately, the next victim, died in the midst of everything until the cop sees somebody else in that same room, and then that dude sees him, and yeah, and that's it. Like just one look at the person after a few days, when their brain is already, I guess, decomposing, and one look at that person before they leave or before they perish. That person, that witness, gets the host, the parasite host, and happened to this dude who was just another bystander in this meth lab, I guess, like drug lab, and he was the unfortunate soul that got it. And then once there were more people who were coming over to the drug lab and saw that this dude is clearly not welcome there, the cop fucking like jumps out a window and immediately onto an oncoming traffic. And I got to tell you, like, Parker Finn, the director of this film, really does not shy away from fucking with the audience, like, at all, especially when it comes to jump scares. Like, jump scares usually, like, I mean, I'm a scaredy cat, will usually get me, but I don't have like a visceral reaction. Not really. I just go, oh, I just, like, my shoulders go up, and I protect the neck. Why the neck? I don't know, but my shoulders always go up. I just, whenever something scary happens. Is that like a fight or flight thing? Like, I don't understand why people like myself, like, just, like the neck, I guess, is like the vulnerable part of the body. So I'm just like, ugh. It's like that Pete Holmes joke is like, we got to protect the neck, Anyways, so yeah, the movie then starts off with this, or I guess resumes with this pop star, who I'm forgetting the name of, already. Off to a great start, Adam. Good job. Thank you. Sky Riley, okay, played by Naomi Scott. Phenomenal actress. So it follows her story and her being, a pop star and all this. And she, went through, honestly, multiple tragedies, like one from substance abuse and two from a car accident that took the life of, I guess, her ex-boyfriend, Paul Hudson, who was played by Jack Nicholson's grandson, I think. His name's Ray Nicholson, and I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know what his relation is to him. Oh, it is his dad. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, so that's the son. Yeah, he's in it. And Naomi Scott is in it, and the character Sky, the pop star, essentially has to, like, go through life as, like, a recovering, a sober drug abuser, substance abuser, and they have to navigate through life. So the thing with this parasite supernatural thing is that it feeds off of weaker minded people. I'm assuming this is a theory of mine, a game theory, and I believe that is the whole reason why that parasite even latches on to anyone's minds in general, is just because, it is like the more fucked up you are, the worse of the history that you have, the more that the creature, the entity wants to take a hold of that. And I remember I had a conversation with somebody about Smile 2, because I talked to a buddy of mine last night after I watched it, and got his thoughts on it. And he said that it is almost like in the vein of It Follows, where I don't know if I fully agree, but I don't know if I would absolutely disagree with it. It's just with It Follows, it wasn't, I mean, it was like an entity, but at least that's like transmitted, right? And like the victims don't need to die unless they just like have sex with some other victim, and then now that victim carries that entity, whatever it is. Which apparently there's going to be a sequel to It Follows, which I don't know how how they're going to do that, but god damn it, I'm here for it. So, anyways, yeah. So, going back to Smile 2, yeah, so we follow this pop star. She needs to get, medicine that cannot be described or prescribed by a doctor. So she goes seeking out a friend. That friend is from the beginning of the film, who witnessed that cop dude kill all those other dudes, and he, just essentially left and got hit by a car, right? So homie has just been carrying this entity for 3 or 4 days, and the Sky Riley, the pop star, decides to swoop in and pick up some of those drugs, and of course, she witnesses him, and chaos ensues. He starts smiling, things get bad. He kills himself right in front of her. And so she is traumatized. So now she has to carry this for 3 or 4 days. The thing with this film too, what it does really well is that it definitely upped the stakes from the previous film. But the greatest thing about it is that you already know the rules of, from the first Smile film, essentially. And you see them kind of go through the same thing with this film, right? But the main difference is that, like, how in Halloween in 1978, the old Halloween film, where they always described the killer, the Michael Myers dude, as the Shape, not as like, or maybe the Boogeyman, but like it was always the Shape. Like it is credited as a Shape. The title of the character is the Shape before the Michael Myers moniker really took hold, right? Which in my opinion, I feel like that's a more terrifying name for a person in, blue overalls, fucking, with a William Shatner bleached mask and killing a whole bunch of people. I feel like that's just a little more terrifying, but Michael Myers, I guess, is fine. Whatever. But anyways, in that film, they don't, like, John Carpenter doesn't waste his time trying to, like, idealize or try to humanize this person. It's just a being full of darkness and just dark energy. He is the embodiment of evil, said famously by the Dr. Loomis. So because he is the embodiment of evil, you don't really need to know anything more than that, right? Like Laurie Strode kind of had theories and like was like, okay, well, this was the house where Michael grew up or whatever. And and you see, like, in the beginning, Michael Myers is like, stabbing the sister, and you kind of get a bit of a backstory with Michael, but the pure horror is that like this person is not fully understood. The rules are laid out, but it's not fully understood. It's the same thing with Smile. So you don't know really if this is an entity, a paranormal thing, or a parasite, that just feeds on the brain, which kind of feels like it is, because after, a few days, your entire reality is warped by this entity, by this thing. And you're seeing smiling people, and it fucked up. And, all you want to do is just wish for it to stop. But the only way for it to stop is by the person just literally dying. The concept is terrifying, and I love that. And I know that there's probably going to be a third Smile film. And I hope and pray to God we never know. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know where it came from. I think like in the first Smile film, it was like some dude took a backpacking trip in Brazil or Peru and brought that thing back, or like another witness was there and brought that thing back, which sure, but that's the only little bit of lore that you get from that entity, from that parasite. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, this thing can be anything in everything. So just because one person thinks and feels that this parasite is figured out doesn't mean that the next one will. Until there's this doctor in Smile 2 who theorized that, like, oh, in order to get rid of this thing, you would have to slow your heart rate down, and then the entity won't have a host to live in. So it's just going to fucking bounce and move on to another host, I guess, right? Although, the problem with that was that Sky Riley was just a day late and a dollar fucking short, because already 3 or 4 days, the thing has like completely taken control of your brain, and it's over. Like your entire perceived reality is completely different, and you don't know what is real and what isn't. Which is why you had that tweaking ass cokehead, from the beginning of the film, holding up Riley with a sword, right when she arrived, just straight up paranoia. And great direction too from Parker Finn to have the camera as close to the subject as possible, and to show and to not be afraid of like the actors breaking the fourth wall, because I don't know if they did this with the first Smile film as much, but in this film with Smile 2, like, at least for Sky, she looks like dead on right down the barrel of the camera every single time. And I think that just amplifies the paranoia and the anxiety of it all. And I think it was used beautifully, because there's one scene where she looks at a mirror and she looks behind her, but directly to the camera. And then when she looks back, like something appears behind her in the mirror. And I think it's like the most clever, classic use of like a jump scare, but it's done so well. It's done phenomenally well. And yeah, I hope they don't pull like a Paranormal Activity thing where it's like, oh, we're going to get to the bottom of what these demons really are, and oh, we're going to do all this research and shit. And it's like, you don't fucking need to know any of that. It is just like, let's just know the characters. Let's know how fucked up they are, how horrible their lives were, or how horrible they treat other people. And especially in the case of Sky. And you see the chaos ensue without fully understanding the villain, or at least the antagonist of the entire process of it all, even though the antagonist is not like, tangible. It's not something that you can see and you can fight and whatnot. how can you fight a ghost if you can't see it kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? And it's exactly like that with this film. So it didn't waste its time trying to explain what the origin of this thing is. They just went straight to character going through the shit and then see what the outcome is going to be on the other side, after a few days. So it works on so many levels. And I just, again, like when it comes to a movie like this, I don't want it to be solved. I want the chaos to be up the ante for sure, but like the whole notion of this needing to be like, some cosmic being, from like some like some meteor or some shit like that, like a symbiote, from Spider-Man, it's just we don't need to know any of that. It came from nowhere, it came from everywhere. Let's just be satisfied with that, And even figuring out how to defeat the thing. It's like, yeah, sure, you could probably figure out how to defeat it, but in order to fully defeat it, you have to defeat it from yourself. And it kind of showed that at a certain point with Sky's character. There's one point where no one did that in the first film, but in this film, she definitely fights the entity back, and the entity kind of just yields and lets the host just kind of do their thing. And I feel like that's a very clever way of showing how like someone can fight against this or fight it back, Whereas in the first one, it's like, oh, we don't fully know what this thing is. So how do we know how to fight this? How do we know how to fight a ghost if we don't know if it is real or not real? And then this film, it definitely tries to no avail. And then the doctor tried to explain this to Sky, but Sky refuses, don't want to do it, feels like can't trust this dude until it is already too late. And she's like, okay, let's do it. Only to find out that everything was all in her head. Fucked up, dude. So good. And it didn't need to be. You know what I mean? It could just easily just be like, okay, this is what the entity is. This is what it's all about. And this is how you destroy it. And then now this character finally destroys it at the end. Now we're done. And that would have been a demonstrably horrible fucking movie, And they just still remained it tried and fucking true. And in the end, no one fucking lives, Every single time, every single victim always fucking dies, no matter what. And it was the same situation with this, and I loved it. I loved it. Because I know it's sad, but that's a horror film. That's what you need in a horror film. Then it just turned into an action thriller, right? Where it's like, oh, we're gonna fight this thing. We're gonna do, because then you're just antagonizing the whole thing. Where it's like, no, there's no reason to do that, because this is the embodiment of evil, of pure evil. It has no consciousness. It has no yielding. It is just gonna be unrelentless relentless. Yeah, it's gonna be relentless as possible. So it's just only going to attack you and you alone, and everybody is gonna look at you like you're a psychopath, but there ain't gonna be anything they could really do to help, except for that one nurse dude who tried and it just didn't work, right? So yeah, it was fantastic. I love that there was no explanation. Oh, also that whole reducing the heart rate. I don't know if y'all are aware of this fantastic little movie. This fantastic little movie of one of my favorite Kiefer Sutherland films, next to The Lost Boys, but oh, come on, really? There we go. A 1990 film called Flatliners. Now, this was like one of the first like horror films I've watched, and I gotta tell you something, it fucked me up, dude. It absolutely fucked me up, and I saw it as a kid, like very young. Um, and I also saw The Shining very young, on AMC, with commercials and shit. But that still fucking terrified me, you know. Um, yeah, I thought that it felt like Smile 2 was sort of like that scene alone with the whole like, oh, we got to lower the heart rate, we got to get this thing out of you, is kind of in the same vein of as Flatliners, where it's just like a thrill project for these like kids who just want to see what they can do to be on the other side, and and then come back eventually, yeah, I think this film sort of took a little bit of that and pulled it, which I'm here for. I love Flatliners. I think it's a great movie, despite that it apparently has 50% Rotten Tomatoes. Go fuck yourself. It's a great film. Yeah, so I thought it was I wrote it down and I was like, it's kind of like a neat little pseudo sequel to that. And once you get to that scene in Smile 2, you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen Flatliners. Any Flatliners fan, jump in on the comments. Let me know. Yeah, also a thing that I wrote down that I thought was very interesting is that the conversations throughout the film, like at least in the second time of watching it, I realized that like a lot of the conversations that she has, before she met that dude who had the parasite in him, like there were genuine conversations. Like there were things that she was talking about and things that she says to her mom and to her assistant that seemed like it was real and it was valid. After the fact, after the witness, the druggy dude, kills himself and Sky is a witness of it. It was almost like immediately, like every single conversation it felt out of place. I don't know if that was a Parker Finn decision, but it definitely felt like the conversations were not genuine, or that it didn't feel like there was like a good enough reaction to it. And it felt like, oh, the parasite has already taken control, like completely, of her subconscious, and the thing is just fucking with her, the entity. It's not like, I mean, it gets worse, but it's not like it immediately goes topsy-turvy with its reality, like with all the shots of like the city and like the landscape kind of going upside down, it's like reality turning on its head, showing that like, oh yeah, no, every perspective you see cannot be trusted at all. And I loved it. Very fucking cool, dude. To just see that, just to have that little bit of direction of just like kind of tweaking the conversations to make it feel a little more fabricated or a little bit more artificial was a fantastic move. If that was intentional. If it wasn't, then it's just a cast of really bad actors. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, are you kidding me? They're all fantastic. Yeah, I think that that little bit of a direction, I feel like, is was not on accident. I'll say that. Also, I don't know what happened. I guess like Voss Water has like fucking, just backed up a Brinks truck for this production of Smile 2, because god damn, there was a lot of Voss water bottle placements. I know it was a factor of Sky's addiction, where and I definitely heard this in sobriety, where it's like you have to take full control of your urges and your anxiousness. And part of doing that is just drinking a full glass of water, you know? Um, and I've heard that before, but seeing it practiced over and over and over again, and even then, it doesn't really help her sanity, like at all. I still think that it's really funny to see like all these Voss water bottles that are just like so fucking random, and like perfectly placed on camera with the label showing and all that. I was like, I don't know. It's a little thing. Who cares? But like, I just thought that was really funny of just like having an ad placement for a water bottle like that is just every other scene of just Sky just fucking posting through it, just trying to engage with her reality. She's just fucking, just downing Voss bottles left and goddamn right, yeah, no form of dehydration in that film at all. So yeah, very interesting. And yeah, it was kind of neat to watch a movie where the characters have to quickly understand the rules and how this thing works, while the audience, like us, know exactly how it works. So it kind of, I'm sure it was probably an uphill battle for the writer, for Parker Finn, but like I'm sure it was all the more fun to just like go balls to the wall with its like jump scares and shit. Like actually one jump scare in particular that fucked me up. That really fucked me up. And I please tell me if this was the same for y'all or any other jump scares that fucked you guys up. One jump scare was like they at a certain point in the film, like there was like dance numbers and shit and like music going on because she's a pop star, and they go through these like rehearsals and you see all these dancers contorting and like trying to make the dance look like an art piece and shit like that. Very fascinating, very cool. You could definitely tell they put in some time with it, but that ensemble arrived in Sky's delusions and like in her imaginary shit, like her toppled reality. And there's one scene where Sky was just gonna like just book it and just like pack her shit and just leave, but right before she leaves, she switches on the light. She switches on the light, and it was just a room full of those dancers just like posting up, smiling and shit. That, I remember watching it last night and I had to pause because I verbally like screamed like a bitch. I was just like I just fucking I seized up. Thank God I was by myself because Jesus Christ, like that was like that fucked me up. Yeah, all the other jump scares, it was like ooh, okay, wow, jeez. But that scene made me verbally scream. And I haven't had that in a long ass time. So again, props to Parker for fucking making me sleep with fucking sneakers on and one eye open, just in case shit fucking goes awry. I mean, god damn, bro, that shit fucked me up. So yeah, I think that the film really done its justice of showing a very proper, very good sequel without feeling like it had to be a parody of itself or like it had to be like the butt of its own joke, and in a perfect case of Halloween as the example, yeah, you just didn't need to like serialize the whole thing and trivialize it, with Michael Myers' whole darkness and his past and all that shit, even though I like Halloween H2O and shit like that, but anyways, I digress. Film is fantastic. I say, I definitely recommend if you're a horror film head, you love horror films, or if you just love Smile, you'll absolutely love this. I think it's fun. It's an exciting sequel. It's very dark. It is way darker than the first film. It's very dark. Although there are moments of comedy that I would not expect at all, kind of trickled through the film. Like the that little girl in the meet and greet signing who was just like kind of just posting up, smiling at Sky, and Sky is just like trying to talk to her and just like, "Hey, do you like my music? That's cool. What did you want to take a picture? You need me to sign something?" And she just like the little girl just stays and smiles, and Sky just and you see it from the perspective of the girl, and like you just see a hand just go up to sign the shirt on the girl, and she just signs it. She just like moves right the fuck on. I don't know why I laughed my fucking ass off seeing that. I thought it was the funniest comedic timing that I did not expect at all. So props to Parker Finn. Should be very proud of what he made. It's a fantastic sequel. I can't wait to see the third one. I hope the third one's gonna hit as hard as this. Maybe even harder. I don't know how hard you can really possibly get without truly traumatizing the audience, but I'm here for it. So yeah, what'd you guys think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you not like about it? What did these films remind you of? What this film reminds you of? Because there's a lot of horror films kind of mushed into one. I'm sure somebody can pull something from the horror film filmography. It's hard for me to go through that Rolodex in my brain right now, but I'm sure there's a lot there. Definitely a great change from Crazy House yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, very, very good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So highly, highly recommend it. Go, don't walk, but run to see this film. I think it's still even in theaters, but I was able to rent it myself. So yeah, that's what I did. And yeah, it's fantastic, y'all. So definitely check it out. And yeah, I don't know. There's gonna be no episode tomorrow. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break tomorrow. That's it, just one day, and I'm gonna be back hopefully on Monday, depending on work. But I think I'm starting to create a better schedule. Okay, so that I can have regular uploads. That won't, resort to me stopping recording for like 3 months again, and then coming back once more. I'm done doing that. It bummed me out last time doing that shit. I don't want to do it again. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna stick around, y'all. Okay, so. Subscribe if you like. Ring any bells. Ring all the notification bells. I'm not good at that shit. If you like it, just like it or subscribe. I appreciate you being here, just even watching. If you don't want to, you'd be like, listen, you're asking me. I'm already watching the fucking thing. Now you're asking me to subscribe. I know it's a lot. I'm sorry. But, if you can, you want to throw in a subscribe, who cares? I love you anyways. I love you all the same. I love you all. I do. Even if you hit the dislike button, I still love you. So stay safe and drink lots of Voss water. All I could think about is just buying like a case full of Voss. And I remember looking at Amazon. It was like $30 for like a 10-pack. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? It's not even made of gold. Like, it's not like it's not like, it's from, water from the fountain of youth, it's just fucking, it's just filtered water, dude. Okay. Relax. So anyways, drink plenty of water. Don't talk to strangers. I love you, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Okay, bye-bye.